never let you go.
Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Tanya Shea at Sugar in the City. That's SUGA in the City. You can hit me up at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're going to interview Tyra and Glenn Dawson today. Tyra and Glenn allowed me to interview them about 6 months ago. I lost the footage, but I'm back. They allowed me back in their space so that we can give you their story. And I also need to first say that who they?
Oh,
yeah. 6-0, baby. So yeah, we have Tyra and Glenn Dawson. And what attracted me to Tyra and Glenn is that this couple, if you see them out in public, they cleave to one another. And so I'm always watching somebody. So if you see me watching you, don't be creeped out. I'm just analyzing your love. But they cleave to one another. They're very affectionate to one another. They're intellectual people. They empower the community. They empower their children. And so that's what drew me to them. And it gets even better when you come back to their home. They said nothing has changed since the last time that I came, except that they have drawn closer to each other. And so with that, let's just start about how you met. Any one of you can tell us how you met.
You always say.
Oh, they've been together for 21 years?
We've known each other for 21 years. We've been together 18, and we've been married for 10 years. For 10 years. We met sophomore year in high school. I was a transfer student. I originally went to Woodward, and I was in the Camus program, and they took Camus out of Woodward and moved it to Hughes. And I fought, kicked, and screamed because I didn't want to leave Woodward. But had I not,
You wouldn't have met me.
I wouldn't have met him. So I'm grateful. Now I bleed red and white all day. Hughes.
Okay. And you were telling me about incident. How did you all met each other in the lunchroom or something like that? I remember you said it the last time.
We had the same class. We had gym.
Yeah, we had gym. It was a gym class. Odom's.
Yeah, Miss
Odom's class. So yeah.
And was it a flirty thing going on?
Girl, it was between me and two other girls.
Okay. I do remember that.
Yeah, there was a selection process going on.
Glenn was famous.
Yeah, there was there was like a 3 or 4 to 1 ratio of females to males. So I was just going down the selection process. It was something about her that just stood out though.
When you reflect back, what was it?
Well, I was drawn to her brain power. First of all, she wasn't just drawn in from my words, because I was a talker, and she challenged me. And to this day, she still challenged me. That's one of the things I love about it. You know, I can talk to someone, and most people would take what I say for what it's worth. She wanted to dig deeper, and she did that back then at an early age as a teenager. That stands out. Okay. So, and above beyond that, of course, she was physically attractive. You know, when you're teenagers, it's all about the lustful piece of it too. So she was, attractive. And I just wanted to get to know her. You know, she was just different. She stood out. She wasn't the atypical female.
So how did you choose Tyra? How did you decide that she would be the one?
So, again, let's take it back. We're gym class. And so there was a couple of different women, you know, that caught my eye. But, of course, after I got a chance to talk to Tyra and fill her out during the lunchtime, I was drawn to her intellect. I was drawn to her natural beauty. You know, she never did wear a lot of makeup. She's still real light on the little eyeshadow. I like that kind of thing. She's not superficial. So, and she just seemed like she was one of those good old girls from around the corners. I could be real cool, like friendship. That's one of the things that bind us together right now. We always have been friends. We remain best friends, and you know, I just always had a good conversation with her. So when it's all said and done, when the physical aspects start to waver, you got to still have something to fall back on. And I knew then that we talked for hours.
Okay.
We literally did. We talked for hours on the phone, and even to this day at nighttime, pillow talk.
Is that
I do a lot of talk.
Now, is that leading up? You would talk to hours like junior and senior year?
Even sophomore year. I mean, like, even though I had a boyfriend at the time and he didn't have a girlfriend, I still would talk to him. Because I thought he was, the backstory is I thought I was too much for him. right?
Okay.
So,
too much, like too mature.
like no, like too much. Like I was
Oh,
hot.
that.
Like not fast, but I was hot.
Yes,
like
yes.
I just had a lot
because
going
you're
on.
the only child.
I was my dad's. I was my
At that
father's
time-
only
at that
child.
time,
Yeah,
Okay.
I was my father's only child. I have an older brother, but I was my father's only child. And I didn't want for much. I didn't
Okay.
need much. I didn't look for much. And it just, so for him, for me to be as outspoken, and I'm kind of mannish in a sense, like I have tendencies where I'm very headstrong,
Mhm.
bullheaded, you know, that kind of thing. So I was thinking like, oh, he's so nice. He used to call me Miss Twitty. He didn't call me Tyra back then. So I'm like, oh, he's such a good guy. I'm gonna hurt his feelings. You know what I mean?
Okay. Because his
Lord
appearance
knows.
is kind of looks like straight and quiet.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah, and he
looks
was like, he was a straight A student in school. He graduated number 3 in our class. So it was like
Told y'all they was smart.
he's a smart guy. Like I think I'm too much, and I was a smart girl. You know what I
Yes.
mean? I graduated number 10, and I was a transfer student.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But
Pretty respectful.
it was like I just thought that I was too outgoing for him. You know,
Okay.
like we didn't mesh. But in our conversations, it was just like he was so cool and so down. We had a lot in common, and I just liked the way he spoke. Like it was definitely we were definitely different teenagers then than we see our teenagers now.
Okay.
But to be 15, 16, 17 years old, and the way he would speak to me, and the respect and how he carried himself and how he saw me was like I wasn't average. I wasn't like just any other girl to him. So
Okay.
that made me feel a kind of way, you know,
Okay.
and I really like that about him.
Okay. So you all we said that you all became serious senior year.
Towards the end of our senior year.
In your senior year, and then you all had decisions to make because college came.
Mm-hmm.
Going away to school. Talk about the decisions that you had to make.
Well, I had a 4-year ride to Ohio State, and at that time, I was actually trying to go to Jackson, Mississippi. I got accepted, but didn't have the money. My parents had just had my sister, so I'm like, I don't want them to be responsible for paying for it. But in the long run, I think Ohio State was the best decision. For one, it was free,
Okay.
and it kept us close enough because he went to UC
Okay.
for the first 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
and he would come and see me like every other weekend, or I would come home. My parents would come and get me, or I'd catch the bus home. And then our sophomore year, he got a car, and it's like I was never on the bus again. Look, he drove up to Columbus, picked me up, drive me back, and then drive me back to school.
Okay.
So he was serious. Like we were. I
Stayed
mean,
exclusive.
we did. We did.
Okay.
And I was like trying to break up with him.
It was a challenge.
It was
Long distance relationship was a challenge for young people. I mean,
Right.
at this point, we 18, 19 years old.
But he was at UC, and it was like the ratio was like 5-1. I'm like, oh, I will not be played. This is not happening. But honestly, like I never really felt like there was a problem. Like
Okay.
I was second to someone, but I thought going in that I had to do that. Like so he didn't feel like it was me holding on to him when he had all this buffet of women and.
So you
Plus, he
said
was
you
young.
allow him to.
No, I was trying to let him go to do that
Before school started.
before
Okay,
school started
okay.
because I knew the ratio at UC was really high, women and men, and I'm like, yeah, I will not be played. We not about to go through this because I ain't the one, you
Okay.
know. And
And
he
you
actually,
said no.
I had to reassure her. I had to let her know that it was all right, baby. I got you.
You got me.
I still got you.
You still
But
got me.
no, seriously. Yeah, it was from her perspective. Like she said, it was a lot of options available,
Mhm.
but I wasn't seeking options. I want a long-term relationship with her, and ultimately that's why I ended up transferring from UC, and I uprooted, moved to Columbus to let her know the sincerity. Like, you know, I'm not just talking, it's not lip
Wow.
service. I'm willing to uproot everything I know here, family, friends, college buddies, all the friends I had made here, and I just made the move up there and just started over. And
I mean, and the Ohio State is very attractive. You know,
Yes.
it's the best school in the nation.
there it is.
Here we go.
OH.
Here we go.
I-O. Okay, sorry.
I'm gonna let them have this, y'all. Okay. But look, so how did it go when you made the transition? Because you were serious. Like, I'm moving up here with my boo,
Right.
with my baby.
Yeah.
Right. Well, my
How did it
parents.
go?
Let's talk about the first conversation I had with my parents about
Okay.
him transferring, and it was like, well, what are y'all gonna do? Mind you, I had a full ride, so my parents didn't have to pay anything, so they took care of me financially. Like, I always had money in my bank account.
Okay.
And they're like, well, if you choose to move in with Glenn, that's saying that you're adult and things are gonna change. We shouldn't have to take care of you then. And I'm like, well, it don't make sense for us to get apartments separate because we always gonna be together. And Lord have mercy. So I moved in with them.
So you two
and
made that
yeah
decision together.
We were
So
we
you
were
knew
juniors in
the
college.
burden, not the burden, but
Just we didn't realize how much things were gonna change.
Yeah.
It changed. What used to be like sweat off our backs was like magnified 100% because now we're in each other's face every single day. It's not you going back home to Cincinnati or me going back to Columbus. It's me going home to lay down and you right next to me. You know what I mean? So arguments were way more intense and way more passion filled, and
what
there was
kind
no
of things
escape.
did you argue about? Washcloths,
control. I think we were still trying to figure out who we were.
Yeah.
So it was about control, and like I said, we come from two different environments. Like for me, marriage wasn't strong.
Okay.
You know, and for him, he saw parents that were married for at that point 20-something years, and for me, so it's like I'm not gonna be controlled. I'm not passive. I'm not meek. You know, and I didn't know about the word compromise at that time. I always thought it was sacrifice. I didn't understand compromise.
Okay.
So,
oh, we talking about
no, my son is in the video.
What kind of things? It's okay.
Okay, it's okay. Okay, but yeah, like so we argue. I remember like we would have conversations about other people, and it would like somehow become relative to us, and we would go full out
the movie,
and just argue. What was it? The best, not the best man.
Yeah,
the best man.
Yeah,
we went and saw the best man, the first best man. So this is in the 90s. Like we going to see the best man, and you know, old girl. What's his character? Morris Chestnut's character, who he was marrying, Monica Calhoun, had supposedly slept with Tay Diggs or whatever. Yeah. So these feelings or whatever, like it somehow we had this conversation. And he was like, I was like, but that was in the past. He dogged her, and it blew up between me and him. So
scenarios become
he's very
real.
Scenario driven. I'm not hypothetical. He's very hypothetical.
Because you have to, you know.
We got a zombie apocalypse coming, according to him. You know what I mean? Me, I'm like, whatever.
That's another recording for another book, you know.
Another day.
Okay.
So it was really tough, and I think we were trying to be grown up when we weren't grown up.
Our frontal lobes are still developing. The maturation process hadn't taken place, although we thought it had, because you're almost we 20 at this point. You know, approaching
19, 20, yeah.
So during, you know, when you're that age, you think can't nobody tell you nothing. You know everything. You in touch with your feelings when really you are just an emotional wreck, really.
So, but your studies were good.
Oh yeah,
I still have my good for the most part.
Yeah,
and then
relationship did not interrupt studies.
No,
Yeah,
and he was working. He was working full time. Yeah. I was working part time. Like we were paying bills, and then New Year's hit, and we were still in a good place. And I remember coming home for New Year's, and everything was great. And then several weeks later, we came back home for my birthday. But I didn't know him and my family had threw me a surprise birthday party. And that's for surprise party. All my family looked at me like, oh my God, look how your boobs are, and this and that. I had no idea. I was skinny as a rail, but I was like out to here, and I just had this glow about me. And I didn't realize it. A week later, I found out I was pregnant, and then everything changed again.
Wow.
So I'm 21.
Okay.
We're expecting our first child. We're full-time students, living on our own, no family, no support, and no one really in our ear. We didn't see that kind of intense love and relationship from anyone that we knew personally. So we didn't have a lot of people to turn to that were going to steer us right. So we tried to figure it out, and we couldn't. It was a struggle in the beginning. So I came home because it was like we were just in such a place where I couldn't see the forest for the trees. I felt like I was drowning, you know.
How far along were you?
When I came home?
Yeah.
4 months.
Okay.
So I withdrew from schools after spring quarter.
And you talked about this, or you made that?
I had talked.
Decision.
I'm sorry. I had talked about it with them, but I don't think he was trying to hear because here it is. He's uprooted himself
To come up there.
To be with me, and I'm like, we argue every other word that comes out of our mouth. It's a discussion. It's a debate.
Yeah.
And it's not necessary. And I wasn't eating. I wasn't gaining weight. It just wasn't a healthy situation for me mentally or physically. It was no real abuse, but emotionally I felt battered because I couldn't grow at that point. And
how did you feel, Glenn, when she left?
Oh, I was tore up about it. As a matter of fact, I had a lot of resentment towards her for some time. I want to say maybe years after that. Because it was about me. I made it about me. I did this. I made these sacrifices for you. Wasn't looking big at the big picture. And so
remember, compromise wasn't in our vocabulary.
Yeah, we both headstrong. I'm really headstrong and always a point to prove.
Okay.
If you tell me I can, I'm just gonna prove to you just for GP that I can.
Okay.
That type of thing.
Yes.
So you had one more year to finish, or two after Tyra?
Well, because I lost some credits transferring up there, so on paper 2.5.
Well, yeah, like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Technically, but then when we knew we were expecting, he went down to part-time.
Yeah.
And worked even more he worked full-time.
Okay.
He worked like school was like a secondary thing.
Okay.
At that point, because I'm like, well, one of us has to finish school. Well, I did go back to Ohio State. I did re-enroll while I was still pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And things didn't get better between us. But I was still healthy. I was healthy, you know. I came home, got that refresher, had that support. My family was very supportive.
You re-enrolled.
I re-enrolled after I left.
Back.
I left for 6 weeks.
Yep.
Okay.
I left for 6 weeks and came back.
She took a quarter off.
Yeah, I took a quarter off.
Okay.
Yep.
And it was, I'm thinking things are going to change. Everything's good. You know, we got this break. I cried every day I came home. Like when I was home in Cincinnati and he was up there, I cried every single day. Like It was not a day that I did not cry because I'm like, I can't believe this. I'm hurt. I can't believe this. I can't believe we're going through this.
Yeah.
You know, I definitely don't want to be somebody's baby mama.
Yes.
You know, like I just had all of these things. I'm like, we were supposed to be better than that. So when I went back, I'm like, I got to make
that momentum in your mind of what you didn't want in what you saw in your.
Well, like I said, my parents were married for 12 years, but for those 12 years, they were separated.
Right.
And then my dad remarried, you know, my stepmom, who was my mom. I love her to death. We're still very close today. But it still wasn't the type of marriage that I wanted. So I wasn't looking for marriage in that sense. When I wanted marriage before we had kids, before we had anything else, before we had history. You know, I wanted to make history together. I didn't want to go into marriage with all this extra stuff in it. But you know, things worked themselves out. But when I came back, it was still he was resentful. He was hurt, and it was hard for me to see that, for one, because I'm dealing with emotions that I've never dealt with before, definitely being pregnant. And then, like I said, we're still trying to figure out. We're 21 years old.
Yeah.
We're kids.
Yeah.
We're still kids. Yeah. Regardless, seniors in college, you know, grown, living on our own. Our parents are not, you know, financially taking care of us. We had a lot of support of my parents, though. They did support us a lot. They came up to see us, you know, and told us that they would be there for us and everything. But it was still tough. Like I said, it was really tough. So I came back home for good.
Okay.
At that point, because it was to a point. It was like a volcano, and we were right at the surface, boiling. Like it was about to erupt, and I'm like, I don't want to do something that I'm gonna regret, and I don't want him to do something that he's gonna regret. It's time for me to go. Okay. And I left. Okay. And it was tough.
When you left, were you still together?
No.
Or were you just saying we're gonna take a break?
Yeah,
we were done.
Yeah,
we were done. We thought we were done. Yeah. I mean, he's still. He's such a good person though, in the sense that he wanted to be there.
Yes. For
our son, you know, and I was like, yeah, whatever. You know, like I was so hurt. I was so outdone. Man. I was so outdone. But I didn't stop him from being a part of it. So when it was time to have Amias, Glenn, my dad, and my brother brought Amias into the world with me. You know, and it was like all the women were there. All the women were in the room, but my dad had one leg, Glenn had the other, and my brother was my breathing coach. So he was birthed into this world by the men that love him the most. You know what I'm saying? So it was a powerful moment. It was a powerful moment, and at that point, I knew that Glenn was a good person. You know, like it wasn't about me at that point anymore. It wasn't about me or him. It was about this life we just brought into the world. He would come down every weekend after he got off work, spend time with Amias and go back late on Sundays, and he would try to make trips down during the week. And we still struggled communicating. We still struggled trying to see eye to eye, but we tried working things out. Physically, we were still connected, you know, which was tough to break.
Okay.
But emotionally, we still hadn't found each other. You know, it was still a struggle. And with him living up there by himself and me being here, like, I'm mommy 24/7. At least he had that breather, and I resented him for that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because I worked 2 jobs. I didn't want anything from him. I didn't get on welfare. I didn't do anything. I worked to make sure that Amias was okay. Glenn did everything that he could financially.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, he was here. But then you only see your story. You only see your struggle.
Yes.
So I'm like, I'm not understanding what he going through. But I'm like, I'm up all night. I'm the one that's not sleeping.
How long was this whole process?
He didn't move back until he
graduated.
He graduated in 2004.
Yeah.
Because remember, he started going part-time. So it was like part-time, like a class
so you
here,
were
class
away
there.
from each other how many years?
4. But we got back together before Amias was a year. So we did the long distance thing again.
Yeah.
So, it was better.
So how did that happen? I mean, so did you say, you know what?
Biker boy. He saw me get off a bike.
Ooh!
Yeah, you know,
off a motorcycle with somebody.
That jealousy, you know, coming in.
Bringing Amias home.
Bringing Amias back home because she only would allow me to have him for, you know, a couple hours.
I wouldn't allow you. That you only had him for a couple hours.
Okay.
All right, well, I'm bringing him back.
And I told him don't come before a certain time.
She tried to give me time, and I'm like, well, what's up? You can't give me time constraints, so, you know.
Bring him back, right?
I'm bringing him back.
Home.
Yeah. So it just so happened as I'm pulling up, she had just pulled up on the back of a bike of some stranger guy.
He wasn't a stranger.
Looking awkward on this back of this bike. So I'm like,
he didn't even look right.
He ain't even look right. Because she went with me, so it ain't look right.
Shut up, Glenn.
So I was like, I just took a pause. I stared. I remember just stopping, foot on the clutch. I had a stick back there, foot on the clutch and the brake, and I'm just like, am I gonna let this slip away for real because of my stubbornness? Because so I was like, you know what? It's time to drop all this nonsense, you know, and pick up this 80%, you know, the 80-20 rule, you know. So yeah, and after that, it was
so
work in progress. So you pulled to the
side and said, you know what, I wanna.
We argued that night, like we argued, but from that point on,
my feelings was hurt. Was hurt
because I finally started to see that it wasn't. Nothing was wrong with me. You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
I'm cute. You know what I mean? So what? I got a child. That don't mean that I got to stop living.
Okay.
You know, and he wasn't. I didn't think that this is where he wanted to be. So I'm like, I can't stop living just because I got to be happy so that my son can see that I'm happy and I'm not holding on to something that's not meant. And even though we still communicated well when it came to Amias.
Okay.
We weren't seeing eye to eye with each other. Like, so he got a job before he came back. So he was working with U.S. Bank. I was working with Kroger at the time. And we had Amari. So we moved into the house together. And this was we rented the house. This was back in 2004, March of 2004. And that was a readjustment period because we hadn't lived together in so long. And now it's us plus 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that struggle was real.
Yeah.
And I realized, like, maybe I'm not meant to be a wife. You know, maybe we can co-parent. Because it was like I wasn't ready for that, to come back to that. Now I had to consider not just Amias and myself. Because I'm making the decisions for Amias. You know what I mean? Because he was a kid and now I have Amari. So it's like, I can make the decisions for us, but I can't control this situation over here. It was all about control. And like I said that in the beginning, it's like the childhood that I had was very shaky. Like my foundation wasn't solid, meaning with seeing parents married and successful. And then I went from home to home. So I always felt like I should be in control of what my situation is, what my life, but I couldn't control him.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that was the struggle for me. It was about control. And I felt like because I didn't agree, he was trying to control me. Or we were bumping versus coming together. And that was the adjustment period.
After the second child, you two were still bumping.
Yeah, but it was more so because I saw it as something else. I saw it as control. Like, I thought I couldn't control my situation, and he was trying to control me. You know, like
just being in the family.
Just being in the family. Like, he the man. Okay. Like, I gotta let him be the man. And I'm like, no, but I've been the man and the woman for the last 4 years.
Okay.
So it was a struggle. That was the struggle for me. Okay. So I'm thinking, like, maybe we're too headstrong we loved each other. Okay. But it was just that compromise. Compromise still hadn't come in. So later on that year, December, we decided.
So were you thinking about leaving?
I was thinking, like, once our lease was up, maybe we need a co-parent. Okay. This is what I was thinking.
Okay.
And he didn't. I had no idea what was coming down the pipeline. Like, honestly, never thought about it. Like, I even had talked to my dad, like, Daddy, I just don't know. I love him, but I just don't know what's next. I'm just, we had been together 8 years by that. So I had talked to my dad about it. And my dad was like, just be patient. My dad loves, he loved Glenn. He adores him. So my dad was, like, really in his corner. Mm-hmm. And come December, we decided to take a trip. Now, this was a trip like, well, I need a vacation. And I'm like, well, maybe we're going to talk about what's the next steps going to be how we're going to handle this transition going into the next year once our lease is up and all of this stuff. Okay. So we get to Chicago. This is where we decided to take the trip. Okay. And we hang out the first night, and then Saturday he was like, oh, all these people have been telling me about this restaurant in Chicago. We got to go here. I'm like, all right. He's like, but I'm going to take you shopping first. We're going to go shopping. So we go down on the mall, and we go shopping, and he's so removed the whole day, though. You could tell something's on his mind. He's so distracted, so nervous. And I'm like, you okay? He's like, oh, yeah, I'm fine. You enjoying yourself? Like, he's just in his own little world, though. And I'm like, okay, so we get ready. We go to dinner. And I forget, what was the MJ's? MK's was the name of the place. Mm-hmm. It was a really nice restaurant. We get there, and the ambiance
5-star restaurant.
But it's really nice. It's really nice. The ambiance is great. The people, like the wait staff was nice. The hostesses were very hospitable. So we sit down and we eat. I can't even tell you what we ate, but he's sitting across the table from me, and they have us like up on this second level. It's not like a upstairs, but it's like you walk up to it, so we can see people seated down below us. Mm-hmm. And like I'm just looking around, I'm like, oh, this is so nice, or whatever. And I'm like, I'll be right back. I gotta go to the restroom. So I went to the restroom and freshened up, came back, and we're like, again, looking across from each other. I'm like, why are you staring at me like that? And he just started talking to me, and then he like grabs my hand. Okay. And then he goes into this spiel like, I love you. I'm so glad, that we've had these years together. Something along those lines. He's like, I know it hasn't been easy, but you've given me 2 beautiful children, and I wouldn't change anything. And I'm like, I love you too. But I'm like, not getting it. It's still not clicking. Okay. And all of a sudden, like, now I'm getting tunnel vision. Like, I'm not seeing anything but him. Like, nothing around me. Like, I felt hot. You know what I mean? Like, I got hot. Okay. I physically got hot. Okay. Because now I'm getting nervous. Like, what's wrong with him? Is he about to break up with me in front of these people or something too? You know what I'm saying? Like, wow. Like, I wasn't even thinking marriage. Because, remember, I wasn't there. Right. So, he gets up. He's still holding my hand. And he comes around. And he gets on one knee. And he proposes. And I'm like, and I'm staring at him. And I don't know how fast the word yes came out or not. I don't think it came out very fast because nothing registered until I saw a flash. He had already called the restaurant. They knew what was going on. It's like the waiters like taking pictures and everything. And I'm like, wow. And I'm like, and then it clicks and then I'm like, yes. And it was like we had this audience that I was not ready for. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So at this point, I'm like really scared, but I'm happy too. And so we talk about it after we leave the restaurant. And I was like, well, babe, what if I said... Yeah, like I was so surprised. I was like, but what if I would have said no? He was like, I would have slept in the car. It's like, I would have slept in the car. I wouldn't even went back upstairs. So when we finally got back to the hotel, it's like all decorated, like roses everywhere, chocolate.
I
Like
called
A
while she went to
woman's
go.
dream.
Yeah, I went and got the maid service to set up the bouquets of flower, the rose up from the door to the bed, had the champagne ready, and
like, he did it all.
So, but you, after all of this had gone on, what made you finally make the decision to say, okay, I'm ready? What was
I
it?
had came to a point in my life where, like,
so the first time you told Tyra no.
I told her no.
Okay,
like
now
said,
we're here.
We're here, and so in that sense, I wanted to be traditional. I wanted to be the person to ask her when I was ready, when I knew that it was going to work. Because for me, my perception of marriages is that it's until one of us die. It's eternity. We're not going to
die together.
We're not going to break up for something that we can correct and redirect, because people make mistakes, and your spouse is to be forgiven. So, long story to the short, I knew that at 25 at the time, that I had did what I wanted to do in terms of pursuing my school aspirations, and I was moving up in the little management world, so I was like, okay, I can support her and our children and not let her down. I just didn't want to be a disappointment to her. So I asked her, and like I said, I was nervous. That's why I was acting real weirded out that entire day. So.
And so he planned this out. Now, imagine Chicago is an hour behind.
Yes.
So we were getting phone calls early, and they were like, well, "How's it going?" I'm like, "Fine." Like my biological mother was watching my kids.
Okay.
And so she called, but I didn't realize until after the fact that Glenn had already asked my parents for my hand in marriage.
Yeah. Wow.
He went to my dad, and he went to my mom's. Went to my mom's, and asked them if it was all right, and I guess they gave him his blessing. My best friends knew. Everybody knew. So after 9:00 Chicago time, so I guess it was 10:00 here. Everybody's calling congratulations!
Yes.
They just knew I was gonna say yes or whatever, and it worked out for the good. But
there would have been a lot of explaining conversations you would have had. Girl, no, it didn't work out. Man.
Right now, girl, what you talking about? He ain't even asked. We had a great honeymoon.
Okay. And you came back to reality.
We came back to reality. We already had 8 years in, so it wasn't fresh and new. It was just the next chapter of our life, is what I was saying before. And so we got married in September of 2005, and everything was good. We were working it out, and then I get pregnant in December. I'm like, I didn't want any more kids. I was so, we're by, this is our third child, and I was really hormonal, going through it, and I'm like, I don't know if I could do this. I don't know if I would be all right with having 3 kids and being married. I don't know what it was. I think I was going through a 1/3 life crisis or something.
Okay.
But Glenn was so strong. He held it down. He did not waver. He kept it consistent, and he stuck by me through everything. I struggled with this last pregnancy. I was severely anemic. I had to wear a heart monitor every day. Wow. And it was like a struggle. It really was. I don't know what was wrong. I don't know where all of these feelings came out of left field, and I think it had a lot to do with just being pregnant. And
okay. But Glenn, you stayed reassuring her that you would be there, that everything would be okay.
Absolutely. She's pregnant with our 3rd child. And so, my personality is such that.
Go ahead. Because I'm just waiting for you, babe. Go ahead.
I am determined. I finish what I start. I got that finish what I start type of mentality.
Yes.
And so, there is no finish for her though. It's gonna be infinity in my mind. So. It's work to be done. We were having a conversation earlier, and we were talking about workload with regards to school. Mm-hmm. And in order to get an A, you've got to focus all your efforts on that one class. So I'm not willing to carry a full load.
Right.
Running that same scenario parallel to this beautiful lady here, it doesn't really feel like work when you know that it's mutually beneficial. So we both win when she wins. We both win when I win.
Yeah.
And I understood that early in our relationship.
I didn't.
And that's why, to which, to the point you just made, that I was willing to continue to sustain, that's all I know. That's what's inbred in me.
So when did you get it? When did you
After we had a meal. After she came. She came right on time. Like, she was like that breath of fresh air. She completed our family. Like I said, we were perfect with the 4. And I just knew I didn't want any other kids, because when we lost the one, it was like, you know what, I can't do this. I just didn't want to go through that feeling again. And I think, like I said, I didn't understand where it was all coming from. But now when you have hindsight, you see it so clearly.
Okay.
And she came, and to see him cry when she came out, because it was a struggle. She was all wrapped up, and it was an emergency surgery and everything. And she didn't cry. She smiled. She was just so peaceful. She brought peace to our life, like really, really did. And we were parents to 3 beautiful, smart, bright, different children, like completely different children. But it started to mold us into where we are now. Now, our kids are not, people say, oh, my kids are my world and this, and that. Like, we love our kids. Like, and as a mother, I love my children. I'll do anything for them. But we never lost sight of each other for a long time. Like, we still kept each other first. And that was important, because we can't be good parents to them if we're not good husband and wife to each other. And
the kids need to see a loving environment. They need to see us kiss one another. They need to see us be affectionate and hug and hold hands. And so for me, it's showing my girls in particular that this is how a man should treat a woman. This is what the expectations are, and kind of set the bar so you don't settle for mediocrity.
Yes.
Yeah. So they have really high standards. They're gonna have really, because he's dating them now. He does stuff when it's just them.
Just us.
And for me, like, my son is like, he's such a good young man, that I'm not necessarily worried about what kind of girl he's gonna bring home, because he's kind of high strung, high maintenance, and he has a type, but he's so respectable and so nice, that I'm not worried, because he sees his dad, and then he sees me and what I expect, and then he's one of those kids, like, he wants to make us happy. So, and I don't want him to do things just for us, but he's one of those kids that it's like, I just want my parents to be happy. And we are going through the teenage years, but so, and this is where our conflict has started. Our next chapter has started. It's because now we have a teenager in the house.
I want to lose this thought, but so they have 2 girls and 1 boy, and what I love, one of the things that I love about this couple is that you can, like, I can literally visualize them and see them molding and shaping their children. Tell me that story quickly about the Dawson history. About the library. What is it that you said? You said something about the name that they carry on, about a legacy. You remember something about that? You all took them to the South or something?
Yeah, so our family, this was news to me. I have a family member that she's big into the history. She, does our family tree, and we have a library down south in Selma, Alabama. And so my youngest daughter, she's intrigued by history, and she can recall facts and so forth. And she actually expressed interest that she wants to go as well. So yeah, I mean, the kids, they're involved when it comes to understanding culture, to understanding where people start, so that they can grow with one another.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They're big on where they come from and who was stock. And I hate using that word, but my husband's very proud of who he is and where he comes from. His
and that's
people.
what I was getting.
And that he's teaching that to our kids. You ask them, like, because I'm a Dawson, it's like it's funny, it's hilarious sometimes, but I'm glad that they're proud of who they are and where they come from. I'm very proud of what we've accomplished.
And it's awesome to look at, because they're very manable. They're
it's an awesome sight to see the whole beautiful family. Okay, so now I want to go into when we were talking about you were married, and then you got to a point where you things kind of got were not going so well, for lack of a better word, but you were on a road to self discovery.
Yeah, yeah. So I was about 31, because 30 was an awesome year. It was great. It was awesome. We went to the inauguration of President Barack Obama. We came back. He threw me a surprise birthday dinner with family and friends. It was awesome. So 30 was great. We just had a great year. And then 31, something clicked. And it was like I was just not happy. And I didn't know why. I didn't know what was causing me to feel anxious and dissatisfied with what was going on in my life. Like, I had a loving husband. I had 3 beautiful children. I had a good job, and we were living comfortably. But something in me still felt vacant and dark. And, all the prayer in the world still I didn't feel like I was getting my answers. And I'm looking at Glenn like, is it him? Am I not happy with him? Even though he was doing everything right. It was just, I don't know. And then I went back to school. I started going back to school. I started taking classes, and then everything changed.
Okay.
Because, remember, I got pregnant when I was in my senior year of college, so I never finished. And I think it was always in the back of my mind, like, I didn't finish what I started. Right. I didn't get to complete my story at that time, that chapter of my life. It was still undone. So I took a couple of classes here and there, and
you finished.
I finished, but it was a nice gap, because I started off at Cincinnati State, and I was going to be a nurse, and I was working full time for Kroger at the time, and I thought that maybe that we couldn't afford for me to go to work part time. I was getting real close to clinicals, and it was just like, those last 8 hours a day or whatever. Like, I can't quit working. And Glenn was very supportive. He didn't tell me that I couldn't, but I just didn't want that to be a burden.
Okay.
And one thing led to another. I was no longer working for Kroger, and it was like, you know what? I could focus all on school.
Okay.
And
but Glenn, you felt Tyra getting a little. Did you feel her getting edgy? Like there was something.
Yeah, I felt it coming on, and once she vocalized what that missing link was, I encouraged her to go back and finish. And like she said, we gelled. I picked up. I did all the house chores, took care of the kids at night, helped with homework, all the stuff that we both were sharing in. I took that on to allow her time to free up and focus all her energy on something that she should have rightfully completed in the first place. So she needed that, and so I'm glad that she finished it. So, like you said, fast forward to this year, she graduated in May. NKU degree in organizational leadership, and so we celebrated, through a surprise party
again.
Okay, let's talk about your 10-year anniversary.
Yeah,
let's talk about that.
That was just
10 years in.
Yeah, married. 10 years married. We just celebrated this past September. We took a trip out west.
I saw the beautiful pictures on Facebook of the ocean.
Yeah, well, we went to Arizona first. We stayed in Arizona. That's where our spa resort. That's where we started. And then we were only supposed to go to San Diego for the day, Coronado Beach. And we were like, we're going to go to the ocean just for the day. We drove from Arizona to California, it was just a couple of hours. And so we get to this place in this beautiful hotel. Like, he was like, just put in this random address. And I'm thinking like, okay, random. So we pull up, and it's like, you see this massive hotel. It's like huge.
Wow.
Huge. And I'm like, okay. He was like, we're going to the beach here, and we're trying to find parking. And the lady was like, well, parking is $40 for like the first 3 hours. Like, super expensive. And he's like, well, what if you were staying here? And she was like, well, it's just $37 a day. Mm-hmm. And he was like, well, if I want to self-park, where do I go? She was like, well, are you staying here? And I'm thinking like, oh, here we go. So Glenn was like, yes, we're staying here. And I look at him like, for real? I'm like, I'm thinking we just supposed to go to the beach, and now we're about to have a debate with the parking lady. You know, it's like, so he's like, yes, surprise.
I just had to pull a power move.
Yeah,
She asked too many questions.
She was asking too many, like we weren't supposed to be there, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
so come to find out, this is the Hotel Del Coronado, and it's like this famously huge and beautiful hotel that's been in movies and all kinds of stuff. So we go in, and I'm just walking around, and like the lobby's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's hi, welcome. You know, like so over the top. And then we go in and see if we could check in our room, and it's not ready. So they give us a key so we could go to the pool, but we decided to just go on the beach.
Okay.
So now here it is. We're on the edge of the United States, on the West Coast, looking at the Pacific Ocean together for the first time. This is us together.
San Diego.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Like the water was so blue, but it was cold.
Okay.
The water was cold, but it was really nice outside, and beautiful people on the beach and families. Somebody had just gotten married, and they were taking pictures.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're just taking it all in.
Soaking it in. You know,
so 10 years.
10 years was a big deal.
10 years.
It was a big deal, and after a while, you run out of gifts to give somebody. You know, after so many years of being here, I said, you know what, I'm gonna surprise her yet again with a trip to a place that we had never been together.
Yes.
And what place better to celebrate than beautiful sunny San Diego?
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. So we stayed the night. We went to dinner. They gave us a beachfront hotel room. So we got to walk out. We could walk out to the beach.
Yeah. Literally, we walk out of our door.
The beach
is right there.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. We
how
had
long did you
oceanfront.
stay? How long were you gone, period?
We were gone 5 days.
Okay.
And we only stayed in California for 1 day because, like, originally we were in Arizona, the spa resort. So, and we did, like, we jam-packed everything.
Yeah, we
but we didn't plan any. We jam-packed everything, but we didn't plan anything, which was great because every time we go, like, he's like, well, I want to do this, I want to do this. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. We're just going to call it as it comes.
Yeah,
so
call audibles the whole trip.
We got our Venus and Serena on. We got our LeBron on. We played basketball. We played tennis. He went horseback riding. We went to the movies. We went to great restaurants. It was like we just had so much fun, and it was just us. Mm-hmm. You know, like, our kids were in great hands. My sister-in-law is awesome. She and my mom watched the Mayas, and it was just like heaven for 5 days. Like we were so connected. Mm-hmm. We talked. We stayed up. We drank.
And we still on that high.
Yeah, we still
up until now.
We're still good. Like, and we're
excited.
You're excited. Sad. Don't be sad.
Yeah.
No, but
congratulations.
Thank you. And we made a vow. Like, we had that conversation at dinner about where we are and where we're going.
Yeah. And
we made a vow. Like, our thing is to talk to each other. Like, just talk. Like, it should be no reservations and worrying about what's hurting or what's going to hurt the next person because we love each other so much. It shouldn't matter if I'm coming to you and it's hurting you. Just imagine how it's making me feel. Okay. You know, so we're there now. Yeah. 18 years learning, but marriage changed everything for us. You know, and that people can say, oh, they've been together. It's like they're married. It's not the same. It is not the same. Yeah. Those first 8 years were nothing compared to what these last 10 have been.
You have more of a vested interest, in my opinion, when you're married, you know, on paper, married in front of your family. You took that oath under God's house to God and whoever your God may be. And so you can't just up and walk away as easy when there's your family, like your family. That's at the end of the day when all the chips have fell, when the smoke is cleared, this is the face that's left. I know she's gonna be my support, my backbone. Like I said, when I think about who she is, she's been my support. You know, without your backbone, you can't stand upright.
Yeah.
You can't be strong within who you are. Without your backbone, there is no confidence. So
that's awesome.
That's who she is for me. So,
yeah, baby, I like that. Yes.
Tyra, is it possible to sum Glenn up in 3 words?
First is love. Like, I I feel it all over me. You know what I mean? Like,
Wow.
and I know it might sound cliche, but I feel it all over me. Like, I tell him often, like, I don't know what I did to deserve you in this way. God loves me because I see it every day, and it's no joke. Like, the stuff that as difficult as I can be, He's loved me through every step of it.
Okay.
And I've never felt less than loved by Him. Even when we're at our worst, I still know that there's love there. You know what I'm saying? So that's the first. I would say strength would be the second one, because there aren't very many men that I know and that I'm probably ever going to come in contact with that are as strong as he is. You know, like, just to know where he comes from. To know where he comes from. And even though his parents have been married, he chose something different. Like, they've been married 30 some odd years, but he still chose to be a different man.
Yes.
You know, and that in itself is a lot, because we both come from humble beginnings, but his was maybe a little bit more humble than mine. And he's so strong. Like, he went to school even when people said he couldn't, and when he shouldn't, he did it, and he did it well. He's getting his master's. He shows strength to our children. He shows strength to me every day. Okay. You know what I mean? So it's just
love,
strength, and I would guess passion. Like, and I mean that in every sense of the word. Like, physically, emotionally.
I already know that was one of my words.
You know, just everything he does with passion. He's so committed in it, and it's with a passion. He loves hard. Okay. He goes hard.
Yeah. It looks like he's protective as well.
Very much so. Almost to boy, back up. Like,
of the whole
back up. He is, but he's like that with anyone he cares about.
Word in there. Okay.
Yeah, but I think that's just one of his words. I don't know if it's for me, but just outside of those three words, love, strength, and passion, will be loyalty. Like, he's so, like, loyal, and that's his core. Like, he is, to a fault, it's a strength. His loyalty is one of his core strengths, and like I said, it bothers me sometimes to a fault, because he couldn't do it with abandon. Like, he is a loyal, like, with reckless abandonment. Like, he commits fully, and sometimes I don't think people have the same loyalty towards him. So that's hurtful to me. Okay. But I love it about him, though. Yeah. You know? Yeah. I love it about him.
Can you sum Tyra up in one word?
One word?
Yeah.
Well, I think I've given it's a noun. It's not actually, she is my backbone, but I would say above and beyond that, because I've went there already, is her compassion. She's truly taught me, like, deeply how to love, seriously. Like, you know, oftentimes men have problems or, you know, issues, letting it all out, letting the emotions out. So she showed me that I don't have to, it's not all about just showing love and compassion towards you and my children. I've got to be that way for everybody. And that translates on so many different levels, because you can take that compassion, and it comes down, it trickles down to her enduring love for mankind, or not to sound cliche, but her family. And like I said, I already know that there's an unwavering love that she has for me. Okay. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. No exception. Word.
Okay. As we wrap up, Glenn and Tyra have they danced to Donny Hathaway's, what is it called?
You Were Meant for Me.
You Were Meant for Me. And a friend of theirs gave them this book. Put your book up there, Glenn. Gave them this book of all the pictures and
shout
the children.
Shout out to Lorenzo.
Hey, Lorenzo. But I want Glenn to read some of the words from the song. And this is what they mean to each other.
All right. These are the lyrics from Donny Hathaway's You Were Meant for Me. You were meant for me. No one else can come between the love that I know, because I'll never let you go. You and me, it seems, never have a problem we can't overcome, because you'll always be the one.
That's right. Yay! Thank you for watching. This has been an extremely long interview. Until next time, peace, love, and Sugar. Woo!
You were meant for me. No one else could come between this love I know. 'Cause I'll never let you go.